I've made Washington, D.C. just an incredible place in literally 4 days. I have friends that say they're going out to dinner. Did you see what's happening with the restaurants? They're bursting. Yes, they're all closing and going bankrupt.
That is President Trump on making D.C. safe again. The DOJ has some numbers to back him up. Take a look. 52 arrests just yesterday. A total arrests of 465 in just less than 2 weeks here. Now, some Democratic strategists seem to realize they're losing on this issue. Yeah, as a soft on crime issue, accusations pile up. An article in The Hill is titled "Democrats Face Challenge in Countering Trump on Crime." An excerpt reads this: Washington residents still feel like crime is too high and too pervasive. From a raw political perspective, you never want to give your political opponent an opening to address a real concern that your constituents have. Wow. But that appears to be exactly what's happening here, and even some in the liberal media are now finally admitting to it.
There has been a problem in D.C., and it's not as safe as the nation's capital should be.
Look, I mean, she's not there is a crime problem everywhere. I mean, in multiple cities. Big cities have traditionally had crime problems. But there are a lot of people who feel unsafe in big cities.
And even more from two of America's most liberal publications, The Atlantic, with "Trump is right that D.C. has a serious crime problem," and a New York Times opinion piece now noting many D.C. residents are secretly glad to see more uniforms. No matter what statistics say, they don't feel safe. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor, joining me now. Joe, as someone who used to live in D.C. and ran 2 years ago out of D.C. because of crime, this issue is driving me crazy when I hear people try to make the argument that there's nothing to see here. And here's where we are now in this saga. This is Byron York in the Washington Examiner putting it perfectly here with his headline: D.C. crime and the "Trump is bad, but he's right" effect. That is in full swing. At least for the moment, fewer and fewer are claiming that crime is going down. It was always slightly ridiculous for Democrats to argue that crime in the district is just not serious enough for federal intervention. Now, at least, there is some agreement that the problem really exists. So what happened, Joe? Why did they finally come around?
Well, it reminds me of what we saw during inflation during the Biden administration, Aisha, where first we were told it was transitory, then we were told it was the Putin price hike, and then finally when Democrats and those allies in the media admitted that, yeah, above 9% inflation is a bad thing, they also would make the argument at the same time that, well, Americans don't really understand about the economy, and they really don't understand how good they have it. In other words, you're not feeling what you're feeling, and you're not seeing what you're seeing on your bank statements, for example. The same thing with crime in Washington, D.C. You lived there. I lived near there years ago. It's always been a major problem where you do not want to go out after the sun goes down in most areas of that city. And now we're seeing that stat you shared was incredible. 465 arrests in 12 days. That's about 40 arrests per day that otherwise would not have happened. Overall, the numbers are the numbers. 9 in 10 D.C. residents, Aisha, say that crime is a serious problem in the district. So when Democrats try to downplay these feelings and tell people that things are only getting much better, it's insulting to everyone's collective intelligence.
Exactly. But it doesn't stop people from trying to fact check the White House and this administration. This started a couple of days ago with the Washington Post here. I want to put this up. They said that they tracked where Trump's forces were actually patrolling in D.C., and they said that it's not happening where the crime actually is. Well, fact is, the White House came out, and Axios also reported it, that 48% of non-immigration related arrests during Trump's D.C. takeover actually happened in two of the most crime-hit areas, wards 7 and 8. It is happening in the most high-crime areas. I mean, what is the obsession with trying to find some numbers here and there and trying to prove your point when, like you said, everyone that lives here either knows someone that has gone through it or feels like it's not safe?
And I have a feeling, Aisha, we're not going to see an apology from Peter Baker over the New York Times, and good job by Axios, and actually doing some homework here and showing the stats and actually putting out the facts. And we're also seeing on social media, just in terms of like putting out numbers that are completely ridiculous. So throughout social media, and this is based on local news reports, saying that reservations at restaurants are down 25% from a year ago. And the argument that people are making on the left is that, well, people don't want to go to restaurants because of a National Guard presence. The only problem is that reservations are down from a year ago last week because in 2024, it was D.C. Restaurant Week during that week. It happens every year, whether you're in Washington, New York City, Hoboken, New Jersey. More people eat out during that week than any other week during the year. So, yeah, you're going to get a spike in reservations. And if you compare it to a year ago, you're going to see a drop. I guarantee you, because you know this, Aisha, you're a social butterfly. It's D.C. Restaurant Week this week in 2025, and you're going to see a big jump in reservations. I want to see the follow-up reports now showing that, wow, reservations are up 25% than they were a year ago. I have a feeling we're not going to see that because that would take actual honesty and actual homework. Aisha.
Also, who thinks the National Guard is scary? Like, these are young men and women here to protect us. Like, they're here to help. That's the entire mission of the National Guard. It's actually baffling that people are scared. Joe, I love having you on. Hope to have you on again.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.